Hello there, and welcome to Cujo Sound. And this is Game Audio Talk, a series of videos where I take a video game and discuss its sound design, and why it is the way it is, and what I can decipher of its implementation just by playing it. Today, I'll be talking a little bit about Dishonored 2, Death of the Outsider. I specifically played this game to collect data from it because I played the original Dishonored 2 before I started making all these videos, and I noticed some really interesting occlusion and gating settings in that game, controlling its directional audio and especially its dialogue. Who knows? I might go back and collect the footage from that game, but for now I'll stick to this version of the game, because that actually also has some very interesting stuff going on. A quick disclaimer here, this video might contain spoilers about the game, and we are not in any way trying to bash the game or mock it for its flaws or similarly. This is strictly to discuss the professional issues that occur during a game's development phase and for educational purposes. You got that? You got that. Let's get to it. Let's talk about locomotion triggering, when you do not have a character that is actually animated to help you with your triggering. This is an issue that many developers struggle with, and is that of when controlling your game through first person. If your actual character is not controlled by a fully or semi-animated character, then you will have very little or even no points, or even something remotely as close to a timeline to attach your events to, meaning that you will have to find other ways of figuring out how locomotion shall trigger, when it should trigger, and specifically how it should. This is also a problem for programmers, because this means that you must calculate the player's movement speed, but also the many different situations that you can end up with to make a believable locomotion soundscape. In Dishonored 2, Death of the Outsider, we have some quite nice movement sound here, yet there is a clear separation between the actual step and the cloth and equipment sound of the character, and we'll get to that in a moment. The game specifically bumps into a very common issue that I myself had the pleasure of dealing with when working on other games, and that is when starting and stopping movement, or you have very little movement, or if you start to strafe and so on, which causes the triggering algorithm to sometimes trigger footsteps when it shouldn't, or in the wrong pattern. The start-stop sounds, it starts to think that you are moving when you're actually not, or vice versa. This doesn't mean that the game sounds bad and that the locomotion sounds are poor in any way. No, it is simply a very common issue that we face as developers. Here, notice how the step sounds a little bit off when we take brief strafing into account, or start and stop very quickly. Also notice how the sound of the equipment we are wearing seems to be a lot more consistent and following a certain pattern than that of the actual footstep, which is indicating to me that these are clearly separated and not just one sound. So this is a layered solution to create the final locomotion soundscape. One thing that I really like about this here is the game also takes verticality into account. So speed of character is also affected by angle of movement, meaning that moving up and down stairs have different sounds. This is really well done because this makes the locomotion soundscapes very believable, especially because it's actually quite realistic that steps, even from the same shoe and even at the same speed of movement, does sound very different in the real world when moving up or down a staircase. It is simply because of the different types of step required to move up and down.
What happened to you? The outsider did this.
If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel if you want to know more about game audio. Or even better, if you want to support the channel, then please head over to patreon.com/Cujo Sound, where you for as little as $1 a month can help me sustain this channel and the time I take off to create all this content. Or you can even sign up for the mentorship program that I have over there if you need help with your current project, or you're at school or an aspiring sound designer that need help or mentoring from a game audio professional. Or if you have some specific questions about sound design and implementation that you need help with. I would really appreciate any support that I can get. Again, thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you again another time on this channel right here. This is Cujo Sound and Bjørn Jacobsen signing out. Ta-ta!